Hello guys and welcome back to another video. I am coming at you today with a video I don't think I've ever filmed before, which is crazy to think that in the however many years I've been posting camp content, I've never made a video on this before. Now, I want to talk about like tips on finding the right camp for you. I have had some incredible questions recently and it got me thinking about I don't think I really acknowledge how hard and overwhelming it probably is as people wanting to go to camp for the first time and maybe getting put into a hiring pool or going on social media and seeing so many different types of camps and just honestly not knowing where to start. So I thought it'd be good to kind of tell you my experience about how I found my camp and just kind of some tips that I definitely think you should bear in mind when looking at camps and things to just know about when you are in the process of interviewing with camps and researching camps and yeah, all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please leave any kind of like video ideas you want to see down below. I did ask over on my Instagram what everyone wanted to see from my YouTube channel, and I had obviously a lot of camp content, which I always have, which I love. It's my favourite content to make, but also had a lot of Australia content. So that was exciting, like kind of like daily vlogs, different things like that. I also really want to do Vlogmas this year. I am going to be home for Christmas this year. I'm going to be in Australia for the first 5 days of December and then home, and I have a lot planned. So let me know if you want to see something like that, because I have always wanted to do Vlogmas since like the days that I would watch YouTube Vlogmas religiously, like however many years ago. So yeah, let me know, because I feel like that'd be so fun. I definitely want to do like a Vlogmas on kind of TikTok as well, I think. So let me know if you want to see it on both or one or the other or whichever one, because that gets me really excited. And Christmas at home, guys, this year, I could cry. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm going to get straight into it. I have, like I say, a few tips, techniques, things to think about when it comes to finding your dream camp. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is something I really think everyone should take into account when researching camps, when looking at camps. Like, yes, please do your research, like thoroughly look into the camp you're going to go to. I always say this, I always say that you really need to do a deep dive into that camp, kind of try. It's obviously nice if you can find other people that have been to that camp so you can kind of get personal experience, but I always say you should never 100% base something off what you see online on social media, because a lot of the time, like, you don't see everything, you don't see every little part, and that is quite hard, and it makes it never 100% knowing that you're going to the right camp for you before you actually make that commitment, if that makes sense. But one thing I really recommend is keeping an open mind about a camp. Just because you see something on social media, you see a video of a camp, you see something online, you're like, yep, that's the camp for me, I need to go there. Please don't rule out other camps. Please don't think that that camp is the only camp for you. And it's also not the right mindset to go into this experience with, having like based something off a camp you've seen online that you really want to go to. It's the only one you want to go to, because there are so many incredible camps out there and the right one is out there for you. I always say that, and it sounds so cheesy, but I genuinely believe it. I'm going to talk about how I found my camp in a minute, but everyone's camp is out there for them. I am convinced. I really believe that. So yes, you do have to do your research. Yes, you do have to look into that camp, but just because you see a style of camp, you see a type of camp that you want to go to, doesn't actually mean that that's the right camp for you. So you might see a video about a traditional 7-week co-ed camp that you're like, yep, I want to go there, I want to be involved in everything like that. Doesn't mean that that's actually the camp for you. And you might find that when you start talking to camps that fit that criteria, that actually it's like, not 100% sure. I actually think a day camp sounds really fun, where I'm going to get my evenings and weekends and we have new kids come every single week. Or do you know what I mean? Like, you have to really talk to these camps to kind of know what you want. So yes, social media, I always say, is an amazing place to start your research, and somewhere that you definitely should go for your research, but don't just stop there. Research the camp, like websites, go on Facebook groups, try and find people that have been to that camp. And then obviously when you actually look on their website and start interviewing and talking with that camp, it gives you a little bit more insight on how that camp could actually be for you. And yeah, just have an open mind. Please don't rule certain camps out if they reach out to you, or you see one, you're like, actually that doesn't fit what I want, because you don't actually know yet. And I always say, you don't actually know what camp you want to work at until you're there. And you might go to one camp and be like, oh, actually, like maybe that other one, like a Girl Scout camp was for me, or a session camp, or an underprivileged camp. Like, you really don't know. So yes, do your research, but yeah, the right camp is out there for everyone. I believe that, but keep an open mind and don't rule out certain camps until you've spoke to them or until you've done as much research as possible. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go back to what I said at the start of the video, is that I sometimes think it's it's easy for me to forget that it must be really overwhelming to be doing this camp process from the very beginning and kind of having to interview and research, and there's so much information out there and so much that I don't even know where I would start if I was doing this for the first time. Obviously, so my backstory on how I found my camp. I work at Tyler Hill Camp in Pennsylvania, and I started back in 2018 as a gymnastics specialist and did 2 years before COVID. COVID hit, and then I lost 2 summers, and then I went back in 2022, and I'm going into my 6th summer next year, which is crazy to think, but also really, really exciting. And I actually found Tyler Hill through a recommendation from a family friend, and so my dad, one of his best friends in the Navy, his daughter went to Tyler Hill in 2017, so the year before I did, and we went round to visit them, and she was like, oh my God, I've just spent the summer working at this camp, like you should have a little look. And she showed me all these photos and videos, and it was really nice, and I was really lucky that I had someone to actually talk to about it that had been there. They could kind of tell me about the big event days, the spirit days, time off, like kind of how it all worked, and that gave me like this nice little bit of hope, I guess. I was like, oh, like this sounds amazing. Like I love the fact that you've been, you can vouch for it, you know how your experience was. And even though that's the case, it didn't guarantee that I would go to camp and have the most amazing summers. I did, and I'm here 6 summers later, but just because you have spoke to someone doesn't mean your experience will be the same. Again, you always have to remember that 2 people are gonna have 2 completely different experiences because we're all different at the end of the day. Side note, please bear that in mind. But yeah, I was actually a direct placement when I went to camp. So I got the contact details from my family friend. I literally applied online. I had my interview with Wendy, my camp director, and that was literally me done. And I signed my contract, I was good to go. And then I just told Bunak that I'd got a placement and I was well on my way to starting my summer camp process. And that was how it was for me. And looking back, I now know how lucky I was that I had that experience with finding a camp, and it was as smooth as it was as easy as it was. I mean, we are talking now 7 years ago. The world has changed, everything has changed, and there's a lot more people wanting to go to camp now. It's a lot more prevalent on social media, there's a lot more info out there, so it kind of is a lot harder to get into certain camps now, and that's just how it is. But yeah, that was my experience. That's kind of how I found my camp, and I literally, looking back now, I'm so beyond grateful that I ended up where I did, because it is truly my summer home, and I say this a lot, and I am so grateful for the fact that Tyler Hill has opened their arms to me, and I'm now part of their summer family, and that is now genuinely my summer home, and it's somewhere that I can see myself going for a very long time. Like, I genuinely still have people message me, be like, oh, you go back to camp next year? I'm like, yeah. For the foreseeable, I'm going back to camp, and at the moment nothing's going to change that, and it works so perfectly for me. So that is kind of my camp backstory, how I found my camp. And again, like, I didn't have to have the whole researching camps or going to like hiring fairs or going into the hiring pool, different things like that. So again, was very lucky that that was my experience. So I am probably not the best person actually to kind of give all this information about like finding a camp, because mine was so smooth. I can definitely give you some of my tips to kind of like think about, but yeah, definitely try and talk to as many people as you can, people that have been to camp before, how they found their camp. And it's always quite interesting to see and like hear how people's experiences will be so different, and some people might get hired like a month before they go to camp and it ends up being their dream camp, and that's just how it worked out for them. But kind of going against what I said earlier is like definitely have something in mind, definitely have something that you vision yourself doing for a summer at camp. For example, like if you really want to go and teach horse riding at camp and you have done horse riding your whole life, you absolutely love being around horses, that's a passion of yours, and you can see yourself doing horse riding at camp, don't try and push yourself towards a camp that doesn't offer horse riding just because from a point of view it looks like a camp you might enjoy. Like, go with what you actually feel and go with your gut, and go for something that is really gonna help you grow throughout the summer and is gonna give you the most amount of enjoyment. Because at the end of the day, if you enjoy doing something at camp, it's going to help every aspect of your camp life and your camp experience, because enjoyment stems from so much that you'll do at camp, and if you loved what you do, it'll make everything so much easier and it all kind of falls into place. Yeah, it does sound like it kind of contradicts myself when I say like keep an open mind, like don't rule out certain camps, but definitely have an idea of a camp you want to work at. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I might be confusing people more than I need to, but It's very good. So basically what I'm trying to say is like, have an idea of a camp you want to work at, have an idea of a role you want to do at camp, have an idea of kind of the age group you want to work at. But when you then speak to these camps, like, have an open mind when you're talking to them. If your dream role of being a tennis instructor isn't going to work out that camp because maybe they have all their tennis spots full, if you can see yourself doing something else, talk to them about that. Think, oh yeah, maybe like that's something I've also got a passion for. Like, I'd love to maybe hear more about that role. Or if you are dead set on wanting to go to tennis, don't try and fit yourself into that camp in a different role that maybe you're not going to enjoy as much. So go in with an open mind. Know that your role you want to do at camp, that camp you want to go to, might not have the roles available for you, but go with it. And again, like I say, the right camp is going to be out there. You may just have to search for a little bit, and please don't get disheartened when camps maybe don't have the roles available for you, or one of that camp is fully staffed, or that role is full. Like, don't get disheartened if you aren't hearing back from camps in a way that they want to go on with your application. Definitely just try and reassess, ask for feedback. My biggest tip when speaking to camps is asking for feedback, because that really helps you when you're speaking to the next camp, and it also helps you know a little bit better as to why that camp probably wasn't the right fit for you. And you have to open yourself up to that. You have to listen to what they say, and if they turn around and say, oh, actually, like, your roles maybe weren't at a level that we would normally go for with a soccer specialist, but this was kind of like really good that you talked about. And ask for the positives from your interview as well. Ask for things that you did well, because camps want to see you succeed. It might not be at their camp, but they want to see you go on to succeed somewhere else. So yeah, please ask for feedback when you speak to camps, because it really does help you understand what camp you do want to go to. I definitely advise maybe like trying to find 3 to 5 camps to begin with that you really like the look of. Have a little research, go into the hiring pools. Your agency hiring pool is going to be your best friend, and it is going to open you up to so many camps that you will have never even heard of, will never have even seen anything about on social media. And you'll see one camp and then Google it and be like, oh my God, wow, like this could be somewhere that I genuinely see myself spending a summer. So yeah, please have a little look at different camps, but use your hiring pool. That is what it's there for. And a little side note, so Bunak's hiring pool, obviously Bunak's the agency that I've used since 2018. I cannot recommend them enough. Their hiring pool is really cool. They have like this unique feature called camp matching. So it gives you the option to almost kind of like swipe through camps that you can look at that are hiring, that will have similar job role availability to what you're looking for. So use them, and it's really cool because these camps can reach out to you if they see your profile and think you could be a good fit, and you can also reach out to camps. So it gives you a lot more control over the camp that you end up at. But again, stemming from that, please keep an open mind. If a camp reaches out to you that you're like, not 100% sure if that's kind of what I'm looking for, if you can, interview with them, speak with them, because the amount of times that I have spoke to people that have said, I was dead set on this camp, I really wanted to go here, and then this other camp reached out, I wasn't 100%, but I spoke with them, and their whole outlook and mindset towards that camp changed completely just from having that conversation. And you really don't know what can open up, like what doors can open up just by having a conversation. Like for me, example, if I hadn't gone and spoken to my family friend about Tyler Hill, chances are I wouldn't have ended up there. And for me, I believe Tyler Hill is the camp for me, and I found it, and it was through having conversations and speaking to people. I hadn't even researched other camps. I didn't even know other camps at the time, and it just so perfectly worked out for me that it is genuinely the right fit. And that doesn't always happen for everyone, and that's okay. But having the conversations and just trying to actually like talk about camps to camp directors is going to help you get such a better outlook on camp as an experience. And like I say, there's only so much info that social media can give you. Speaking to camp directors from different camps is such incredible interview practice, and incredible for just like life skills down the line. Interviewing is a huge thing to be able to do anyway, but speaking to different camp directors and it changing your perspective on different camps, and they can also really like sell that camp to you. And I always say that when you speak with camps, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be like, oh, like what does this mean, or how does this work, or what can you offer at this camp that maybe like the next camp can't, kind of thing. Like dig a little deeper, like ask questions that maybe not a lot of other people will ask. And that is hopefully going to really help you find a camp that is going to offer so much to you specifically as a person. So yeah, I feel like I've just talked and I don't know if I've given any sort of direction, but I don't know. But to kind of sum it up as an overall do your research. That is a big thing that's going to help. Researching websites through your agency, social media, Facebook groups, talking to people, asking for their actual experience at that camp is going to be huge. I will leave a little screenshot of my Facebook group actually, that if you want to join, please do. We're nearly at 10k members, which is crazy, and it's become such a nice little community group where people will literally just say, oh, like I've got an interview with this camp, has anyone been there, or tips and tricks, and it's just really been such a nice way for people to connect and give their ideas, their experiences. So I'll leave that here just so you can have a look if you want to join. Next up is to keep an open mind, go with the flow, talk to as many camps as you can, research as many camps as you can, and just know that there are a lot more camps out there than you probably think. And just because you see one doesn't mean it's actually the right one for you. So keep an open mind, speak to as many as you can, because it'll really benefit you down the line massively. Use your agency because they are there to help if you're feeling overwhelmed and not really knowing where to start. Talk to them. They are summer camp experts. Feel free to message me if you just need some guidance, you need someone to talk to about it, because I know it's a lot. And even though my experience finding a camp was very easy, very smooth, and I know that it's going to be overwhelming to have so many different types of camps and just not really know where to start and not know what's right for you. But I really do believe that the right camp is out there, and when you have that interview with that camp, it all gels, it all clicks together, and hopefully it all makes sense and you end up spending a summer there and it becomes your dream camp. So yeah, I'm going to round this off here. I hope that's been helpful. As always, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all, and I will see you in the next video.